Hey, everybody. On today's Locked On Bama, we're going to continue talking about the Peter Woods situation, his commitment to Clemson, and what that means for Alabama going forward. We're also going to talk about Dylan Lonergan, who will be making his commitment on Monday, or as you're watching this today, who knows. And we'll talk about that and a lot of other stuff, just a lot of comings and goings in the world of college football. And so here we go with Locked On Bama.
Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, how are you today?
Good. Sorry, look, having a bad hair day. I got caught in a rainstorm. Not kidding. When I say I got caught in a rainstorm, I am not kidding. I was outside, couldn't be helped, no umbrella, and then it rained so bad. It rained so bad on me, like Noah would be saying, "Wow, this is a rain." That's how bad it was, and so now my hair is sort of.
Did you
bad.
do a 5-yard leap into your front door like TJ Yeldon into the end zone against Missouri in 2014? Or no, that was 2012.
No. So bad. I'll be completely honest. It was this bad. I had to text my wife and say, "I am so wet. I'm outside and I don't know what to do."
The saddest text. You need to erase that text right now. Jimmy, look.
How bad it was.
First of all, this episode is brought to you by LinkedIn, and we want to thank LinkedIn for being one of our new sponsors. We also want to thank you for being listening to us, a listener of us, and making us your first listen. We appreciate you guys. Listen, I want to read an interesting comment. This is from SPH Huntsville. He watches us on YouTube. Want to thank you. He said he loves the program, and then he put this in there after the broadcast or podcast from last Friday after Peter Woods committed. He said, "Let me say this. I was on James Clemens' staff from 2016 to 2021. I've sat in rooms with these kids and all of your favorite coaches. I went to the Nike camp in Atlanta recently. Fans don't want to accept this, but it's real. I'll use a slogan that Shamar James gave me out of his own mouth. Today's player is not yesterday's player. Fans want to say, oh, in 2016, this and that happened. These kids today want to play for coaches they can relate to. They don't want to be cursed out by 70-year-old plus dudes who barely even talk to them, especially D linemen. The times are changing. I challenge all of you to go back and listen to Corey Foreman's interview on why he didn't come to Bama, then go to listen to JT Tuamalo's dad and Walter Nolan's parents. All the same sentiment. Some players, not all, but most definitely some will not embrace Coach Saban's style anymore. Now, this is not to say he doesn't like Nick Saban. I'm just telling you, this is one of our listeners. He went on and put some other stuff on there. You can read it in the comments section of the broadcast, the podcast from Friday, right? So I'm not going to just read his whole thing. But first of all, we appreciate his listening, and I do love his giving us that opinion and that perspective, okay? But I'll say this, and it seems to me that just like every time something happens, the knee-jerk reaction is, hey, this will ruin college football. You know, when you let freshmen start playing, that'll ruin college football. When you start throwing the ball versus running the wishbone, that'll ruin college football. When you put it all over TV instead of just letting ABC have a couple of games a weekend, that'll ruin college football. Expansion will ruin college football. These huge coaching contracts, on down the line. I think in the same vein, you can say, hey, these kids today don't want to hear blank. Now, I'm not discounting what SPH Huntsville said at all. He seems like a very knowledgeable dude, and he's been around a lot more recruits personally than I have. However, I think it's also fair to say that, look, if Walter Nolan or Shamar James or who are some other guys, JT Tuamalo or Corey Foreman, if any of those guys had listened to Nick Saban and come on this team, they would at least have an SEC championship ring by now and would have played for a national championship, correct?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are fresher than that, but yeah. I mean, that's Here's my thoughts, and I'm reading a ton of criticism about our defensive line recruiting, a ton. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not saying there's zero truth to anything behind it, because for years, even when we were recruiting, where every single year we're going to have the number one class no matter what, we were losing defensive linemen in those classes. We do lose some defensive linemen over some schematic issues that I'll touch on if you guys want. But let's just look at this really logically, okay? Alabama's defensive line room right now, that's everyone that has signed with us in the past 3 or 4 years. The Alabama defensive line room, for all the people that are out there right now pissing and moaning about our defensive line recruiting, I would say do me a favor and help educate me, because I don't know everything. Help educate me. List for me the defensive line rooms in the country that are better than Alabama's. I mean, we have DJ Dale, we have Byron Young, we have Justin Aboigbe, we have Timothy Smith, we have Jamil Burrows, we have Damon Payne, Monkel Goodwine, the true freshman we signed in the last class. I'm just asking, how many defensive lines in this country are better and deeper than Alabama? I will grant you Clemson. I will grant you Ohio State. I will those two. Those are the
Georgia,
two.
Maybe Georgia.
No, Jalen Carter is better than anybody we got. I'm the first to tell you. Jalen Carter, yes, total badass. I am not convinced that Georgia's defensive line room is better than Alabama's. I'm not, but I can be convinced. So I'm just laying it out there as a challenge. I'm laying it out there as like, help educate me, because trust me, you can sell me. You can sell me if you use facts about where kids were ranked, what they've done in the games. And every time I hear this, Russ says, okay, I agree. Alabama's missed on defensive line targets, and we've been doing it for years. Yet, what's the end result? Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl, who, by the way, is not an Alabama guy at all. As a matter of fact, let's be completely honest, if anybody cares, but I've been a little miffed a few times because Nagy's not an Alabama guy. He's a Michigan fan, and he worked in the NFL for the Seahawks and the Patriots. So he's not exactly an Alabama Crimson Tide dude. Nagy today tweeted, because it's his job to evaluate the talent of the country. Nagy today was saying, find me a defensive line better than Alabama's. I think his exact term were arrows up on Dale, Aboigbe, and Byron Young in terms of his assessment of what Alabama's defensive line is right now. And again, this isn't even an Alabama guy. You might think so because the Senior Bowl's in Mobile, but Jim Nagy is a Michigan fan and a Seattle Seahawks and New England Patriots scout, and he is not an Alabama fan. He's just assessing the talent in conjunction with all the NFL front offices. So I do get it is turning into a soapbox thing for me because I read it every day. But the fact of the matter is, Alabama's defensive line room, third best in the country. If I'm wrong, tell me who's better other than Clemson and Ohio State.
Yeah, that's very fair. And I didn't mean for this to become such a blossoming conversation, but it's going to be right after I tell you about LinkedIn.
I got wet and mad.
As the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people you want to interview faster and for free. LinkedIn Jobs is awesome. We've used them here at Robinson Iron. They're absolutely fantastic. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Visit LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks again goes out to LinkedIn for sponsoring us. We do appreciate them so much.
I'm a LinkedIn member. I'm a member.
Yeah. You're always looking for jobs. You've had like 6 jobs since you've been on this podcast. But Jimmy,
I think 7 jobs
again,
right now.
I want to reiterate, I am not blasting anybody's comments, especially not SPH Huntsville, because he's a dude. He's a guy we like. He has made multiple comments before. And I think what he said is very, very fair. And not only fair, it's true. I think there are some kids that are turned off by Saban's technique. And I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that Peter Woods bought into what Dabo was selling more than what Saban was selling. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And it's also fair to say that Alabama's way has been pretty damn good. And nobody has been more adaptive than Nick Saban over the last 15 years. He's adapted more than anybody. There is no reason to think he won't adapt if the new is looking for something else. But my guess is, and then again, this is just my theory, my guess is, and I think he's earned the right to do this, Nick Saban is going to go find guys that fit his system. Now, he probably looks at Peter Woods and goes, Peter Woods is so good, I don't care that his personality didn't necessarily fit my system right now. He's not a bad kid. He's a good kid. He may just not be a super fit for us at this moment, but I can make him a fit. And when I make him a fit, he'll be an animal. But I'm also thinking maybe somebody like Quinnen Williams was like that. Maybe Quinnen Williams, I can tell you personally, I lucked out, got on a first-class flight, sat next to Quinnen Williams, and was able to talk to him for a minute, took some pictures with him. It was fantastic. I'm going to post them. If I can find them, I'll post them on here. It was so cool. But even then, this was after he had been a rookie in the NFL. I was thinking, man, this kid just seems like he's a 12-year-old kid and just having fun, not intelligence-wise. I mean, like the way he approaches life. A 12-year-old kid in a 32-year-old professional wrestler's body. That's what he seemed like. And so he isn't necessarily a Saban bot, but Saban turned him into a badass. You know, we use the term Saban bot all the time for something like Jonathan Allen. He's the prototype, right? Saban bot. I mean, he's just a Saban bot. Saban would build him in a laboratory and say, this is what I want all football players to act like and to play like. And but not all good players have to be Saban bots, but he can. I think Saban got to Quinnen enough to make him realize, hey, I might still play with Legos or whatever, but I'm a badass when it comes to football, and I like to have fun. Shaquille O'Neal is a dude who likes to have fun. He's doing cannonballs off his yacht. I see it on Yahoo Pictures all the time. He's a dude that likes to have fun. He's also a badass basketball player. And so I'm coming back to this to say, just because Peter Woods doesn't necessarily fit the Saban system, number one, I don't think any Alabama fans out there should be saying, hey, Peter Woods isn't cut out for Alabama. That's not true. That's not right. Peter Woods could play anywhere in this country. That's something else that I noticed in the comments. I think some people took some of our comments the wrong way, and they were like, oh, y'all just complaining you didn't get him. I was like, number one, we weren't complaining. We love Peter Woods. We want him on our team. Right?
I'd take him on our team this
he
exact
can flip
second.
right now.
Oh, yeah. And I would be happy for Alabama, happy for Peter, and happy for Coach Saban and Freddie. And no, I want Peter Woods absolutely right now this second. Didn't care for the way that they decided to make the announcement. I didn't care for that, but he might not care for the way that I do the podcast. So I get that.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of that, a couple of people did point out the hypocrisy. They were like, wait a minute, 2 dudes who are, one of them who is doing live reads twice a show, and they actually have banners sponsoring all over the place. They're complaining that somebody else was hawking merchandise. That is a fair, salient point. We get it. Now, the reason
we are a show. That's the thing. Yeah. We are this is a show.
That's true.
That's what it is.
But here's the thing. Nobody finds it weird that you advertise on a podcast. That's the only way you make money. but we have never seen it where you hawk your own merchandise at a recruiting announcement. That's what was weird to us. It wasn't that we were like, this is bad. I frankly, I'm like, this is pretty smart. I'm just not sure how I feel about it because the guise of amateurism is gone, but I'm just saying it was kind of weird. Now, let's
show. This is literally, this was a recruiting announcement that became a show, that they made a show, and like, this is a show. I mean, literally at On3, we call our podcast shows. They don't even want us calling it a podcast because it's a show.
Yeah,
so then this is a show too. And I didn't care for it, but that's okay. I haven't cared for who committed to Georgia that pulled out little baby bulldogs.
That was the running back, right?
I wasn't crazy about that either.
That was the running back that ended up at Alabama State.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's him. I can't remember his name, but yeah, that literally happened.
I remember the puppy's name, but not his.
Hey, just because I don't, I mean, I do want Peter Woods at Alabama. I want Peter Woods at Alabama flip today. I want him to flip before December. He's a great football player. He's from Alabama. I want him to play football with Alabama.
He's an Alabama fan.
You grew up an Alabama fan. But I'll say, if he sticks with Clemson, great.
Yeah.
Great. Fine too. Alabama will be fine. And for this generation doesn't want to play for Nick Saban. I think the last signing day was 5 months ago, because this is July, right? So that's month 7, and signing day was February. That's month 2. 5 months ago, I think Alabama signed the number 1 class. That's right. 5 months ago.
Jimmy,
days ago.
I said something at the beginning, and I said JT Tuimalu, Shamar James. Who were the other two he brought up? Walter
Shamar
Nolan.
Turner, right?
Shamar Turner.
Is it Shamar?
No, it's Shamar
Turner. Shamar James was
Shamar James.
Okay. Well, Shamar James, linebacker from Mobile. Shamar Turner was the linebacker from, defensive lineman that signed with A&M.
He said Shamar James. He was talking about Shamar James. But anyway,
okay.
I said all these names, and this is how, recruiting gets so weird. But I'd forgotten that 2 of those guys just signed 5 months ago. And it feels like they signed 6 years ago. In my head, I was like, when did Shamar James graduate again? Oh, 5 freaking months ago. How did I forget that? Because that's how recruiting works. You think about it all the time. You think about what's next, not what just happened. All right, Jimmy, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break right now, and then we're going to come back. I'm going to let you briefly touch on Dylan Lonergan, and I stress the term briefly because I do want to talk about some of these options that Alabama has.
I'm not going to briefly touch anybody. Let's pick up the words.
All right, here we go. Let me tell you, God Almighty, I can't do nothing with you.
The touching, not brief. It's that there won't be any touching at all.
BetOnline.net is your number 1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Okay, Dylan Lonergan should be committing Monday afternoon, 4 o'clock. If he does commit to Alabama, we will probably put out a quick hitter then that you can have ready, even in the hopper if you want to, if you feel good about it. But you like this pickup, right? Just quickly.
No question. No question. Great player. We're signing 2. He's going to be referred to by everyone as Alabama's second quarterback. He's so much better than that. He's quarterback 1 for Alabama almost every single year. I think the reason that it's okay to call him QB2 in this context is this. Eli Holstein is so good. Dylan Lonergan is a baseball player and is also going to play baseball at Alabama. He's also the second quarterback to commit. I think his baseball commitment will, I don't want to use the word distract, but, Eli Holstein is QB1, Dylan Lonergan's QB2, with a chance to be a future starter. I'm going to say this all the time, Luke. Last time we signed 2 quarterbacks, Tua was 1 and Mac Jones was 2. They both ended up starters. They both ended up in the first round. Really, that situation is more analogous than saying, well, Eli's the first quarterback and Dylan's second. Dylan Lonergan's too good for that. Great arm, great athlete, very, very polished. If I'm going to describe him, that's very polished. You watch his tape, you would swear you're looking at a kid that's already playing college football.
Just for the record, I Googled this while you were talking. The definition of quickly is at a fast speed or rapidly with little or no delay, promptly. It's an adverb which you are unfamiliar with. But regardless, we will talk about Dylan Lonergan more tomorrow, and you will have a quick hitter on Dylan Lonergan after he commits to Alabama, we believe, right?
Most of my adult life, I've been a lawyer with an hourly rate. Takes me a while to get it all out.
Okay, so again, we're going to have to run through this a little bit more quicker than I wanted to, or more quickly. Peter Woods commits to Clemson, so what does Alabama do next? Obvious answers. Let's not talk about these 3 now because we've talked about them pretty much ad nauseum. James Smith, Quay Russell, and Kelby Collins. Alabama would love to get all 3 of those guys. Absolutely I would be on cloud 9, cloud 10, 11 even if we got those guys. Now, the next group, and this is from our buddy Joseph Hastings over there at On 3, where you are also a huge part. He says Jordan Renaud. He also says Damon Wilson, Reuben Bain, and then he throws in Hunter Osborne, who just has not been associated with Alabama that much. But me personally, I would take Hunter Osborne right now. Alabama may not feel that way.
I love Hunter Osborne. I would take him right now. To me, he's always been an Alabama take for me, from Hewitt Trussville. Big fan of Hunter Osborne. Actually, ironically, a lean to Clemson. He also likes Texas. But keep in mind, he doesn't like Clemson and Texas over Alabama. Alabama just hasn't really pushed for him yet. It's a really deep group of defensive linemen in state. There's a lot of guys out there. There's only so many you can take, right? I mean, you can't sign 7 defensive linemen in one group. There has to be a pecking order. And, hey, I think Hunter Osborne should be higher up the pecking order. That's what I felt all along. I'm hoping it's not inside scoop. I'm hoping that Alabama takes another look at Hunter Osborne and bumps him up. I mean, in the light of the Peter Woods situation. And I'm a Hunter Osborne fan. To me, he was an A-list day 1 take for me. Now, they don't ask my opinion, and they're smart not to ask my opinion, but that is my opinion. I would also look at Edric Hill from Kansas City. I think he's a take. Jordan Renaud from Texas, who we've already talked about, and a guy we've never really talked about on the show, Jamarius Brown from Moss Point, Mississippi, who Alabama is involved with, and Alabama's also not pushed. I'm a fan. I mean, and again, to me, these are A-list guys. Because you haven't heard the name before, you might think of him, well, I've never heard that guy, so that must be B-list. Go watch the tape. There ain't no B-list. Jamarius Brown, by the way, per On 3, those people I work with that are pretty smart about this stuff, they have Jamarius Brown, the number 1 prospect in the entire state of Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
You know, and he's a defensive lineman, 6'4", 255, plays quarterback. Kicks off and makes the tackle on kickoffs that are just fun to watch, unless you're the poor sap returning the kick. But I'm just telling you, Jamarius Brown is another guy to take a long look at. Hunter Osborne, Tamarian Parker. It's a deep defensive line group. I'm not really worried about it. But am I trying to rip on Peter Woods or say there was too many commercials and I hope for Alabama's sake that he flips to Alabama between now and December. Don't want
totally
anybody
agree.
to mishear that.
One other thing I want to throw out there. We thought Suntarine Perkins may be a member of this class by now. He is not committed. Richard Young gave Alabama fans another huge scare this weekend when he apparently just posted something on his Instagram about maybe Dante Moore, the badass quarterback, committing to Oregon. And it didn't have anything to do with him, but some people thought he had committed. Man, I'm going to tell you, it's been a hard 4 or 5 days as an Alabama fan in terms of just following recruiting. When we're so used to good news, it's like we haven't gotten a lot of good news. So hopefully that changes with the commitment of Dylan Lonergan tomorrow.
I would just say this: in part of this is NIL.
Yeah.
Part of it's the new world of recruiting. If you like merry-go-rounds and there's not ups and downs, it just goes at one speed, then shut off recruiting until signing day and check back in then. But if you love recruiting and you love to follow it, it's a roller coaster, especially now. There's ups and there's downs. And if you can't handle the downs, then switch to the merry-go-round and just check back in with us on signing day. I'm just saying, there are ups and downs, and there always has been, but they're more exacerbated now. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to follow that for you guys because we're aware of all the ups and the downs, even prior to and after commitments. Hey, this is just sort of the new world. And with NIL, like for instance, real quickly, James Smith is more higher rated than Peter Woods. He really is. No one ever talks about that, but that is a fact. James Smith is higher in the rankings than Peter Woods. I really like Alabama's chances with James Smith. That could really happen today. If you're like, hey, Jimmy, is James Smith going to sign with Alabama? Yeah, I think so. I think he is. But James Smith is so good, sometime between now and December, some dude running some company that's a fan of some other school could show up and say, hey, James Smith, you look like the face of my company. Here's $2 million. That's sort of the new rule. And if that happens, who am I going to get mad at? Nick? Yeah. Freddie Roach?
No. Yeah, we're all getting mad at Freddie Roach. Look, I slammed my thumb in my car door today, and I blame Freddie Roach, okay? So don't tell me about blaming Freddie Roach.
So I think we're going to sign James Smith. I think we'll get Smith and Russaw and Kelby Collins. I think so. But, hey, welcome to NIL. I mean, anything can happen. So it's fun for me just because I can be an Alabama fan and not literally live and die with it.
All right, buddy, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you guys again. Please keep the comments coming. We love that. Even if, we don't agree with you or you don't agree with us, it doesn't matter. We still love you for listening, and we want your comments. So thanks again, everybody. We appreciate y'all so much, and roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.